We're gonna perform a hip flexion sequence. From a half kneeling position, we're gonna perform a stretch. Hey, Dally. From a half kneeling position, we're gonna perform a stretch, then we're gonna do our pails and rails. From there, we're gonna perform some half kneeling lift-offs into standing passive range holds. I'm gonna go ahead and get you into your stretch so you can be stretching while I explain what we're gonna do for the rest of this sequence. So our kneeling hip flexor stretch, we're gonna hold from a posterior pelvic tilt. That is tucking your tailbone underneath and kind of rolling your pelvis backward this way, bringing your pubic bone up towards your sternum. So you're gonna get into a half kneeling position. The rear leg is the hip that we're gonna be stretching. So if I'm taking my right leg back, I wanna sort of sit back a little bit, get into my posterior pelvic tilt, and then shift forward just a little until I feel a stretch down the front side of my hip and then down my quad. If you feel like holding this position for a long time is gonna be bothersome for your knee, go ahead and get like maybe a soft, small, thin pillow or something that just can cushion the underside of your knee. A lot of times what people misconstrue as knee pain is actually the pain of the quadriceps tendon as it comes across the knee and comes out into the patellar tendon. So anyway, go ahead and get yourself into this stretch. Posterior pelvic tilt, find your stretch right up that front pocket area and hold. I'm gonna demonstrate what we're gonna be doing for the rest of the time. So after we finish the stretch, I'm gonna have you do pails and rails. Our pails contraction is gonna be pretending like we're scooting this bottom knee forward, almost like we're trying to bring our knee up to our chest. So if I were not kneeling to do this, it would be something like this. So I'm trying to pull my knee forward. Obviously your knee's plastered against the ground, so I can engage it. It's not gonna actually go anywhere. We're just engaging those muscles. That's the pails contraction. The rails contraction is gonna be to squeeze the butt and do the reverse of that. Almost like you're trying to kick your leg backwards behind you by engaging the glute muscles. Again, not gonna go anywhere because your knee is plastered down to the floor. But we're gonna hold either one of those for 30 seconds each. Then we're gonna be doing some hip flexion lift-offs. So our hip flexion lift-offs, you may want either something to hold on to for balance, a pair of yoga blocks. I'll use a pair of yoga blocks, but I'll demonstrate each way from the easiest to the hardest. The easiest way to go about doing this is standing. Stand, raise, and lower. This is not a good lift-off because I'm getting such a high hip flexion. You want a 2 or 3 inch lift-off when you're thinking in terms of doing proper lift-offs. So you may want to just stay in a kneeling position. I've got these couple of stick mobility sticks here. If I were doing it kneeling, I would be here. That's still too large of a lift-off for me, but if that's where your mobility gets you 2 or 3 inches of a lift-off, that's where you want to be. So for me, I'm gonna gauge my mobility with these yoga blocks. Starting on the tallest setting, I'm gonna put them to the inside of my forward leg here, raise and lower. This is closer to where my mobility is currently, so I'm gonna drop down 1 setting. Lift here. It's better, but still not perfect. So I'm gonna drop down to the last setting here. Lift and lower. Now I'm actually starting to get into a proper lift-off territory. So I'm only able to lift this 2 or 3 inches off the floor. From there, we're gonna get into some passive range holds. So I'm gonna have you pull your knee up into position and then attempt to hold it. You can use something for balance. You can use a couple of yoga blocks, whatever you want to. I'm gonna have these yoga blocks kind of off to the side here, and I'm gonna put my hand down on them. You can just use one, I'm using 2. So I'm gonna pull this leg up passively and then attempt to hold here. Relax, pull up, find my passive stretch here, and attempt to hold. You can do this standing as well. You don't have to do this kneeling. If I were doing it standing, I would just grab one of my sticks, hold it out to the side to balance, pull my leg up, and attempt to hold up here. And we're gonna hold those for a 10 count. So now that you've finished your stretch, let's get into our pails and rails. Whatever the back leg is that you've been stretching is the leg that we're gonna stay on the whole time. So if you've been stretching, let's say with your left leg back, we're gonna do 30 seconds each, pails and rails, with that leg backwards. So try to keep your posterior tilt, try to pull that knee forward for 30 seconds, increasing tension over the 30 seconds, and then try and push the knee back, engaging the glute stuff as you do so for the next 30 seconds. Then we're gonna hang out in that position, just deepening our stretch a little bit for a few seconds before we get into our lift-offs and whatnot. So get ready to begin your first pails contraction. And 3, 2, 1, try to shift that knee forward. So I'm keeping this posterior pelvic tilt, but I am generating tension forward with the knee as though I were trying to flex my hip. So I'm trying to pull that knee forward out from underneath me. We've got 15 seconds left. You should be ramping up tension, generate more. Keep pulling. You should feel this stuff on the front side of your hip engaging. 5 seconds, and we're gonna switch directions. Safest, greatest effort here, and switch. So you're trying to kick that foot out from behind you, push the knee backwards. Keep your posterior pelvic tilt here though. Don't shift into an anterior tilt. The glute should be engaged, your abs should be taut. Stay here, push, build up tension. Again, you wanna be squeezing that butt as hard as you possibly can. You've got 8 seconds left. Push. 3, 2, 1. Don't go anywhere. I want you to get back into your stretch where you really feel a solid pull along that upper pocket area of your hip. Take a few deep breaths. Then we're going to get into our lift-offs. And go ahead and get out of your position. So we like to finish with the final stretch just because it helps to cue your nervous system that this is a safe position to be in. You gain millimeters, if not centimeters, of range of motion every time you do this. And the more you can cue your nervous system to feel safe in your new range of motion, the more accessible it will become to you over time. So we're using the same leg, so the leg that was backward, my left leg, is now gonna shift and become the forward leg that we're gonna do our lift-offs with. So find your positioning for lift-offs. Figure out from standing to kneeling what position you need to get into to get your 2 or 3 inch lift-offs. We know for me, my lift-offs are on flat yoga blocks. Most people, I would imagine, are gonna be in this realm on the tall side of the yoga block to lift, hold, and then lower. So I'm gonna put my yoga blocks on the flat side. We're gonna do 12 lift-offs on a 3 count. So get ready and lift. 1, 2, 3, lower. 2, 2, 3, lower. 3, 2, 3, lower. 4, 2, 3, lower. 5, 2, 3, lower. 6, 2, 3, lower. 7, 2, 3, lower. Keep trying to work your knee further and further up towards that shoulder. 8, 2, 3, lower. 9, 2, 3, lower. Got just a few left. 10, 2, 3, lower. 11, 2, 3, lower. Last one. 12, 2, 3, and lower. So that was the last of our lift-offs. We're gonna do these passive range holds next. I'm gonna demonstrate them standing just because I feel like that's a more comfortable position than doing it from kneeling. So if you want to, you can go ahead and stand up, grab onto something for balance. You can use a foam roller, you can use a dowel rod or a broomstick, look what I've got, or you can just grab onto a chair back for balance. So you're gonna, again, be using that same leg. I want you to lift, grab the knee, pull your leg up as high as you can passively get it, and then you're gonna try and engage these same muscles to hold your leg for a 10 count. We're gonna do 5 of these. So if you lift up, find your passive range, try to take the load away from your hand, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower and relax. Pull up, find your passive range again. Here's round 2. And capture that tissue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. We got 3 more. Pull up. Find your passive range first. Engage the muscle and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is okay if your leg starts drooping down over the course of these 5 reps. To be expected because you're getting fatigued at this point. We got 2 more reps. Pull up, passive range, and engage. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Grab it. Your standing leg may also get very tired. Also okay, to be expected. It's working very hard to hold your body weight up. Here's our last rep. Pull up, passive range, capture, and go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And set it down. That is the end of our hip flexion sequence. Go ahead and go through that again. If you have a second set, switch legs, do what your programming dictates.